What's up, Ian here, and this is my review for the Letshuoer X Gizaudio Galileo 1DD plus 1BA IEM. Now, before I begin, I'd like to thank Hi-Fi Go for sending this to me and making this video possible. But guys, rest assured that whatever I say in this video is my own opinion. This video is not scripted, and Hi-Fi Go will be watching this video together with you guys. Right, so Letshuoer Gizaudio Galileo. At the time of filming this video, I do not know the price yet, but I do have the link to this IEM, so I will leave it down in the description below, and you guys can go camp out that website, and once the price is out, you will know the price then. Right, so Letshuoer Gizaudio Galileo. Now this is a collaboration between Letshuoer and Gizaudio, and Gizaudio is actually Timmy. Right, so for those of you who are in this hobby, I'm sure you guys know who Timmy is, but for those of you who don't, he's actually a famous YouTuber, right? And he has reviewed many IEMs, so I'll leave a link of his channel down in the description below, so you guys can go check it out. Right, very nice guy. Go take a look at his videos. Okay, right, so in this video, right, I'm going to go through the accessories, the fit and comfort, and then of course I'll share with you guys my sound impression of this IEM. At the same time, I'm going to compare with some other IEMs lah. Alright, so do make sure to stay to the end of the video so that you guys can see the comparison. Okay, now this video will be timestamped, so for those of you who wish to skip around, please feel free to do so. Right, so this is the box, right? It's got a picture of this window with gazing out into the galaxy. I mean, that's what Galileo does. Okay, at the back of the box, you do get some specifications. The sensitivity is 104, the frequency response is 20 to 20,000 Hertz, impedance is 14 ohms, and this has got two drivers. One is a 10mm liquid silicone dynamic driver, the other is a Sonyon 2389 balanced armature. Okay, now inside the box you will get paperwork, of course, okay, and then carrying case. Right, so this is actually quite a unique carrying case with a rubber membrane inside the carrying case and on the lid as well. So when you close the lid, right, and it press against each other, and with this latch, this is a very strong latch, so when you close the lid, it will press against each other and then create a seal lah. Right, so it can be airtight, can be waterproofed. I don't know, haven't tried. Okay, but I'm not going to try. Okay. Right, so yeah, and anyway, this is a very nice case lah, very hard as well. Okay, now you also get a cleaning brush. Okay, yeah, to brush off the nozzle, and then two types of ear tips. You have your wide bore and your narrow bore. The black color one is a narrow bore. These are pretty standard ear tips, so if you want more treble, you get the wide bore. You want more bass, get the narrow bore. Okay. Alright, so cable, right? Cable is a 4-core link braided cable, two-tone colored, and then the headphone jack is a straight type 3.5 headphone jack with a Velcro cable organizer, and then you have your wire splitter and your chain slider is made of plastic lah. Okay, and of course ear hooks is nice and soft. Okay, the cable wise, I find that it's pretty good, right? Thick, it's got good form and a good body. It doesn't really tangle on itself. Even if it does, it can be untangled pretty easily, and yeah, it's not rubbery or anything like that, so pretty comfortable to the touch. And yeah, kind of like this cable lah, quite thick. Okay, now let's take a look at the IEM itself. So IEM is a 3D printed UV hardened type of technology thingy, and yeah, it looks pretty good, pretty clean. It's got very shiny and very glossy finish. The faceplate is got this like a marble design to it. Yeah, marble and very shiny lah. Okay, when I look at it, I can see my own reflection. You can even see the light. Yeah, so very standard IEM shape, right? On the inner shell, right, you can find like some sort of a fin here, right? Yeah, it's some sort of, it's a very small bump lah, okay. And then the nozzle is quite a wide bore nozzle with perforated filter, okay. Right, so that's for the design of this. Very nice design, okay. Right, fit and comfort. So when I'm wearing this, I find it fits me pretty okay. It's just that I wish that the nozzle was a little bit longer, and the inner shell, right, had a bit more curves, you know, so that it goes into my ear. This part here, right, actually sits or prevents the IEM from going too deep, right? So that's why I say, you know, nozzle may be a bit longer. Okay, but other than that, it does not give me any pain or any fatigue when I'm wearing this. And yeah, I can wear this for the entire day, no problem. Okay, seal, right? So the seal, right, I find that it's okay, it gives me a good seal. It's just that when I'm moving around, if you look at this ear hook, right, the preformed shape of this ear hook is a bit odd to me lah, okay. That's for my ears, right? It may be different for you, but for me, right, this one, the cable tugs on this cable and then pulls out the IEM from my ear as I'm walking around, okay, and then it makes me lose my seal, right? So it's a bit annoying in that sense, but other than that, when it gives me the seal, it's a pretty good seal, right? It blocks out most of the noise and ambient sound, okay. Right, so now let's talk about the sound, right? So let me just show you the graph, and then I want to prop this up somewhere, maybe use the case. Okay, so this is the graph, but before I talk about the graph, let's just talk about the technicalities of this IEM, right? So basically for soundstage, right, it's a very wide soundstage. It's outside my head. Well, it seems to be outside my head type of soundstage, very deep and very big space, right? To a point whereby the instruments and percussions, right, they sound pretty far away. And then of course the vocals also is not an intimate type of presentation. Vocals, they seem to come from outside my head, okay. So that's the kind of soundstage that I hear, okay. And then for imaging and sound separation and layering, of course, is pretty okay. In imaging, I can actually identify where the instruments are pretty far, okay. And then separation wise, right, on busier tracks it's a bit hard to separate the instruments, but for, like, you know, solos or instrumental with a few instruments, is still pretty good, still handles it pretty well, okay. So I find that soundstage and imaging and sound separation is okay, alright, it's above average. And then for the detail retrieval and resolution is very good, right? For details, right, it actually gives me pretty small nuances of details from the track that I listen to. So yeah, for detail retrieval is very good. Resolution is also above average, pretty good. Is of course not better than some of my other IEMs that I have, right? But in comparison to that, it's actually very good already as compared to some other IEMs I'm going to compare later, okay. So make sure you stay tuned, okay. So yeah, so that's for the technicalities. Now let's talk about the tone and timbre for this. Now this to me, right, is kind of a natural to neutral type of timbre, and the note weight of the tone, right, is light. Not the lightest, of course, but it's pretty light. It's not the warmest also. So yeah, somewhere in between, I would say. But in terms of the overall tone, note weight, right, is a bit light, okay, in my books. Okay, for that type of overall presentation, I would say it's like a more of an analytical, clinical type of tone, right, if you know what I mean. Okay, right, so let's look at the sound signature. So basically, right, if you look at the sound signature, kind of flat, right? It's not exactly flat, but it's got like a divot here. That's for the mids lah, right? So the mids is not very recessed. So if you look at this graph, you can imagine, right? The bass is not too forward. The treble is also not too forward. In fact, the treble, right, is a bit below the Harman target. The mid bass is a bit forward lah, a bit above the Harman target. But other than that, right, if you look at the graph, this is actually a pretty neutralish type of tuning. Okay. Now let's talk about the sub bass, right? So sub bass is not overly done, it's not underwhelming, so it's just nice. All right, it's compared to some other IEMs which is also just nice. Okay, so yeah, it's a just nice type of sub bass with good extension, good resonance. Note weight wise, it's a bit light, right? It's a bit light on the note weight, but overall presentation of the rumble, right, is sufficient lah. Okay, for certain tracks, I wish there was a bit more grunt, a bit more character to the sub bass, a bit more warm. But for most tracks and those clinical tracks, especially classical, I actually like this level of the bass lah, right? It's not too overwhelming. Okay, now for mid bass has got good slam. It's smooth as well. Is the transition, right, is quite okay lah. It's got a bit of bleed to the mids, but other than that, it's fine. It's got good impact. The impact's a bit light, right? It's again sufficient lah. It's not the overwhelming type of impact. It's not bloated as well. And it's quite fast, right? It's quite fast type of mid bass and transits well into the mids, right? Now let's talk about the mids, right? So the mids actually, to me, is the star of the show, right? So basically, without the sub bass or the bass region being too overwhelming, and without the treble being too overwhelming, the mids has got more space to shine lah. All right, I'm not saying that it's forward, but it's got more space to shine in the tracks that I listen to, right? So what I hear is that the mids is more forward, right? I get this impression it's more forward, it's clearer. Instruments has got this very smooth, very good presentation, and clear as well. Okay, so I would say pianos, the violins, has got that kind of light note, right? A light and not very warmish but clinical note to it lah. Okay, very good presentation for the mids in my books. Okay, I like this type of mids lah. Vocals, right? So vocals also have got this very good and relaxing type of presentation to me, for male vocals and female vocals alike lah. Okay, male vocals, right, to me it's a bit light and not very authoritative in the mix. I wish there was a bit more grunt and a bit more character to the male vocals, but yeah, in this type of analytical type of listening experience, right, it's not supposed to be too warm and too aggressive lah. Okay, but yeah, it's a very non-aggressive and a very polite type of male vocal. Female vocal, same thing, right? Is not too bright, it's not too dull as well. It's got enough energy, enough presence, all right, enough presence in the mix as well lah. So, but they have got a very good, soothing and relaxing presence lah. Okay, so when I listen to vocals, right, they sound very, very nice and relaxing lah, very soothing to listen to. Okay, now let's talk about treble, right? So treble, upper mids and treble lah. Okay, so now treble is a little bit below the Harman target, so the gain to the treble from the mids is actually a pretty smooth gain, right? It's not a very harsh gain, it's not a very shouty gain. So this affects the female vocals lah. So female vocals, they don't sound harsh, they don't sound too energetic, right? They won't come in your face and too much bite. So yeah, it's just nice, very smooth. That's why to me, right, I when I listen to on this IEM, it sounds very relaxing, very easy to listen to type of presentation. Okay, so presence is good. It's got good presence, right? It's got good presence, it's good gain as well, as I mentioned. The air, okay. Now, if you before I talk about air, the roll off of the mid treble, is okay. It's very smooth, all right. It's as you can see, it's quite a gradual. There's no harshness, there's no sibilance, okay. It doesn't have a sudden spike or anything like that, as compared to a lot of my other IEMs that I have, which I can show you later. There's a lot of spikes around this area, which shows sibilance. Some of it may be my coupler or the artifact of my coupler, but other than that, for this IEM which I measured, there is no spike, okay. So no sibilance on this IEM, right? Well, rather, when you listen to certain tracks, most those shrilly and especially female vocals, very shouty type of tracks, right, it will not show here on this IEM. Okay, now for air, right, so now this is not a very airy IEM, so that contributes to the smoothness of this entire tuning. So it rolls off, right, so the treble rolls off pretty early, okay, not much extension to the treble, okay. So with that in mind, right, it actually makes this entire presentation of it is not a very present type of treble, okay. So when I listen to my tracks, right, I find that sometimes the cymbal strikes, hi-hats, they do roll off a little bit too early, and also they sound a bit distant from me, all right. So especially for those like shakers lah, claps lah, they sound distant, a bit hollowish, okay. I would say a bit hollowish, but that contributes to the smoothness of the entire track. It's not, I'm not listening at the particular frequency, but as a whole, the entire track, when I'm listening to it, it sounds very smooth and relaxing lah. So yeah, so this air here actually contributes to that. So I would say the treble is rolled off, right? It's not natural. It's not really natural. Doesn't sound natural to me. But yeah, it does contribute to the entire performance and presentation of this tuning to me lah. Okay. All right. So that's my overall review for this Galileo. Now, again, if you like, you know, a relaxing type of listening experience, casual listening experience, then yeah, this is actually a pretty good IEM to go for. I do not know the price, as I mentioned, and for those of you who like to listen to, well, I wouldn't say analytical, but most of the classical and female vocals, especially vocals, and those like well, maybe rock, right, and heavy metal, these they don't sound harsh or sibilant to me, okay. So I can easily listen to all these genre without any fatigue, okay. So yeah, if you like those kind of listening experience, it's kind of a niche type of tuning, I would say. If you like that kind of listening experience, yeah, then yeah, this is a good recommendation for me, right? And also it does, you know, play most of the genre of music. It's just that maybe for those genre that has got a lot of bass, I wish there was a bit more bass, but other than that, it's sufficient, okay. Right, so that's for the Galileo. Now let me compare this with some other IEMs, okay. And let's just put the graph one side, and these are the few IEMs that I've listened to and compared with, and they all sound very similar, right? Except for this Heart Mirror Pro. So the Heart Mirror Pro, right, I find that it's a bit more warmer, all right? But other than that, okay, this tree sounds quite similar, right? The only thing is that for the 7 Hz 0, right? This one sounds a bit more analytical than the other two, which is the Galileo and the 1er. Okay, in fact, this two, right, sounds the closest lah. Okay, now the only difference between all this, the Galileo, right, what stands out for the Galileo is the resolution, the detail retrieval, the sound stage. Okay, this beats all this IEM by far, right, by a mile. All right, this has got superior detail retrieval and resolution as compared to these three. Okay, except maybe for the hard mirror, which is trailing just behind a bit lah, but in terms of technicalities, this is the best out of all this lah. Okay, but tuning wise, right, they sound pretty similar. Only thing that this one, the Galileo, sounds the smoothest. The harshest, I would say, is maybe the 0. Okay, the second smoothest, I would say, is the 1er. Okay, the areas with most clarity and most sense of details, right, is the Galileo. Okay, well, without the air, of course. Sorry, without the air, but most detailed. Okay, and then the cleanest, I would say, is the 7 Hz 0. Vocals, Galileo has got the best presentation for the vocals. Yeah, so I think in terms of the tuning wise, right, they sound the same, but these are like $20, and then this one I think is $50. So if the Galileo is going to be priced just above, right, I mean it's not a fair comparison because all these are single dynamic drivers. Okay, this one is a double or a hybrid. So yeah, this one, if it's priced just a bit above these few IEMs, then I would say this is a pretty good buy. All right, because the tuning is almost the same. It's just that this one has got a smoother and less airy treble. But yeah, if it's priced just a bit above, then it's a good buy. All right, so that concludes my overall comparison and review of this Letshuoer X Gizaudio Galileo IEM. Now, I hope you guys enjoyed watching this video, and if you did, please give this video a thumbs up, and also please do not forget to subscribe to my channel. Right, so that's it for now. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you guys have a great day ahead, and I'll see you again in my next video. Cheers.